Junkyard. What's up, everybody? Welcome back to another episode of the Beyond the Junkyard podcast. I am your host, Junkyard James, JYJ, aka J Nice. And as you can see, this is audio only this week, a solo episode, thanks to the 4th of July, Independence Day. It falls on a Thursday. This is being recorded on Wednesday, July the 3rd, the day before Independence Day, and I had conversations with K-Dog earlier in the week, just trying to see, hey, did you want to have a live episode on Thursday? Did you want to push it back? Did you even want to have an episode this week? I told him, hey man, I can do a solo episode if need be, because I want to talk about Forbidden Door and some key takeaways, and so he said, 4th of July is on Thursday. Probably not the best idea to have a live stream with all the festivities and things going on. I didn't want to take that away from him or for you guys in the audience. And he was like, honestly, there's not a whole lot in his mind that he wanted to talk about in terms of Forbidden Door. And I made this connotation, I think, on social media or maybe on last week's episode when we were doing our predictions, which, by the way, I think I did pretty damn good on the predictions. I don't have the total count. And so I'll have to get with K-Dog on that. Maybe I'll post the numbers on social media or whatnot later in the week. But I did pretty damn good predicting some things. I know for a fact, because I put it on social media after it happened Sunday night, I called Okada pinning Tanahashi, taking that pin there. So I called that. I did pretty good on the predictions. Forbidden Door was a great pay-per-view, and so I wanted to have this episode, and so here we are. But first, before I talk about my key takeaways on Forbidden Door, I want to do some partnership affiliate stuff, some housekeeping. First things first, y'all go to junkyardmediagroup.com, find out all our links to everything, join our Discord group, join the conversation. We do want to build a community. I feel like I haven't been pushing that as much here lately, but I do want to build a community in the Discord of people from all wrestling backgrounds. I don't want just AEW fans or just WWE fans. Everybody's free to join that Discord group. The link is on the main page of junkyardmediagroup.com. If you have trouble navigating the website, send me a message on Twitter, or X, whatever I still call it Twitter, but on X. My apologies for any noise that you may hear in the background. I am doing this driving home from work. But anyways, send me a message on X, and I'll send you your own unique invite code for the Discord if you want to join, but can't navigate the website. Also on the website, we have a merch shop. You click the shop button on the top banner on junkyardmediagroup.com. It'll send you straight to our website. Haven't updated any new merch here recently. Maybe have to come up with some designs that we can get out there. But check that out. Check out both the audio-only version of this show and the Slapping Meat Wrestling podcast. Our podcast links are there. And there's a blog page where we kind of share some thoughts in written form that I don't think we've posted anything in the last couple months. We do got to update and get that stuff kind of current as well. But check out what's on there, junkyardmediagroup.com. That would mean the most to me, other than subscribing to the YouTube channel Junkyard Media Group on YouTube. and following or subscribing on Spotify and Apple Podcasts, leaving us a review. I really do want to build this into something big. It's not about money or anything, but I do want to build a community of people, and it's, the more people that listen to this podcast, that know this podcast is good, the more people that we can join in the community, and that's kind of my big thing. If I get money from it, then cool. I have a job. I love my job. I love the company I work at. I don't think about wanting to be a full-time podcaster. If that's what, comes my way, then maybe, but I don't think about that, about doing that. Next, let's talk about the energy drink Dubby. We are affiliate partners with Dubby, and they have pretty good energy drinks. I won't lie. Their canned stuff I'm more of a fan of than their powdered stuff. They do have a supplement powder. It's kind of like a protein shake powder, but it's an energy powder. It's pretty good. The flavors are really good. It tastes like the thing that they're trying to say it's supposed to taste like. So that's always a plus. Sometimes you get these energy powders and things and energy drinks, and it says it's supposed to taste like one thing, and it doesn't. It doesn't taste like that at all. But with Dubby, it's really good. There's none of that, nasty artificial stuff that some of the major big energy brands have in their products. It's clean energy, no BS. And they have given me a code for y'all to use on basically everything on the shop, where if you use the code Beyond the Yard, you get 10% off your order. But let me tell you where it benefits us as the podcast. If you use my code, I like to be up in front on this, I get a small commission. The podcast gets a small commission off any time that code is used, because I'm generating leads for an energy product. They want to help give back to those generating leads, and so I've tried the product. I drink the product. I love their liquid canned pre-mixed stuff. One, because sometimes I either overfill the with the water, or I overfill with the powder, and so the ratios can be off. In the canned, it's the ratio they want it to be. And so I love their already pre-canned stuff that I don't have to mix. But all their products are good. So check out Dubby. Go to dubby.gg and use the code Beyond the Yard at checkout for 10% off. We get a little bit back and commission for that. And same thing with WWE Shop. Now there's an affiliate link going to be in the description of this video, or of this audio version podcast. And I would love for you guys to go to that affiliate link. You have to click the link. You have to order through the link. So you can't there's no code or anything. You got to click through the link. Any purchase made through that link, the podcast gets a bit of a revenue stream from. And so Liv Morgan has new merch, and the Wyatt Six have new merch, and a bunch of other wrestlers have new merch. And even if you want to just buy old wrestler merch, I can't save you money. It's not a discount code for you. It's an affiliate link. But you can help support the podcast by using the link to buy your merch. If you're going to buy it anyway, might as well help out a podcast that you enjoy listening to, right? So click that affiliate link below in the description, and be sure to get your WWE merch there. But let's get to the nitty-gritty, guy. It's been about 10 minutes, and that's enough housekeeping for one show. Forbidden Door. I think it's always been, I think this is the third year they've done Forbidden Door. But I felt like every year it's gotten better. It's one of my favorite pay-per-views. A lot of people like Revolution and All In and All Out. Those are their favorite pay-per-view. Forbidden Door has always been, ever since they've had it, my favorite pay-per-view on the AEW calendar. And it's for a couple reasons. The first reason is I'm one of those so-called sickos that Tony Khan books for. I love watching just independent wrestling. And so what's so great about indie wrestling, like you go to your local indie show and you're going to have somebody that nobody in the mainstream would know about. Like, let me use my local promotion for example. AML Wrestling, which is one of the bigger indie promotions in North Carolina. It's a pretty big promotion. They host all of the, I think it's WrestleCade stuff in Winston-Salem. It's hosted by the same people that do WrestleCade own AML Wrestling, but they have some guys like White Mike, who he's a 16 or 17 year veteran in pro wrestling. But you ask some rando in Texas who doesn't know a whole lot about pro wrestling, and ask him, hey, do you know White Mike? And he probably is not going to know who you're talking about. But then he goes on Sunday, AML has a show. It seems like AML's shows seem to always be the same day as an AEW show, for whatever reason. So I can never go to them anymore. I love going to them, but I like AEW more. I love their pay-per-views more. But anyways, I was looking, and White Mike this past Sunday, fought AJ Francis, aka Top Dollar, right? Big WWE guy. And so that's the cool thing about indie wrestling is you get guys who've made their name fight these guys that really haven't maybe made their name at a mainstream platform. And that's just what is so cool about indie wrestling, is just the mix and match of everything. You get to see things that don't really happen on an every week basis. Things like Mina Shirakawa coming over, or Stephanie Vacher coming over, or Tanahashi coming over, or any of those wrestlers. You know, El Phantasmo looked good, and so that's why I love it, because I just love the just endless opportunities for dream matches. And I'm a dream match kind of guy. I'm not a soap opera kind of guy. I never was into Days of Our Lives or any of that growing up as a kid. I just like dream matches. Give me an all-star game of pro wrestling, and you got it, right? And that to me was always Forbidden Door. It was always like the best of AEW against the best of New Japan Pro Wrestling, and that's what I loved about the concept. And so it's been my favorite for the last couple of years. And I had to say, this card, looking from the outside looking in, was a little bit weaker than last year's card. I think that it still produced. It was still a really damn good card. It was stacked. Like, compared to, like, Clash at the Castle. The pre-show of Forbidden Door was better than the entirety of the main card of Clash at the Castle. I will say that. The pre-show was fucking phenomenal. Everyone in the pre-show just, damn, man, like, it was awesome. Or 0 Hour, whatever you want to call it. They just, they fucking were awesome, dude. I loved it. And so it was just a night of really good wrestling. And someone pointed this out. I can't remember who it was. It's on Twitter or X or whatever you call it. They pointed it out. It's like, this is wrestling where it's match after match after match. There's no 15-minute intermission. There's no 7-minute vignette. There's no backstage promos. It's just match after match after match. And so that's what it's dedicated to, and that's what I love. Because there are times when I watch a WWE pay-per-view, like I'm probably going to watch Money in the Bank on Saturday, where we're going to have a match, and then we're going to have 10 minutes where it's nothing going on except filler. And like when I pay to go to a pay-per-view, I'm going to pay big money to watch match after match after match. I don't care about the filler backstage stuff. You shouldn't be continuing a storyline at a pay-per-view You should be either building a new story or ending a prior story at a storyline. So there shouldn't be the need for vignettes. Let the beginning or the end of the story be told in the ring. But that's a topic for another episode. I don't want to go down the line match by match by match. It wasn't perfect. I saw a lot of people giving it like A+ ratings. There were matches that weren't great. They were really good, but they weren't great. And then there were matches that were fucking phenomenal. Fucking phenomenal matches were like Bryan Danielson and Shingo. The ladder match was fucking phenomenal. El Phantasmo needs to be signed to AEW very quickly. I love ELP. Konosuke Takeshita should be pushed to the moon. He was getting cheers as a heel. Fucking phenomenal. I think Stephanie Vacher and Mercedes Moné was a fantastic match. People like to bitch about how Mercedes Moné doesn't know how to wrestle. Dude, she looks fucking phenomenal in the ring. She looked good. It's like she trained. Like when she got hurt and then coming back, she trained for this. I look at the stark comparison, and I know you really can't compare because Mercedes Moné has had multiple years more experience than Jade Cargill. And everyone backstage is just praising Mercedes Moné as like trying to help build women's wrestling. And she's, she won the match, but she wanted to make Stephanie Vacher look good, and she did. She looked fantastic in the ring. One of the ladies that I hope AEW, when her CMLL contract is over, I hope there's a immediate push to sign her in AEW to be a full-time AEW talent, or to have her come back in AEW in some capacity at some point in the future. She's just so good in the ring. And Mercedes Moné looked really good as well. But you look at Jade Cargill, and there's a story that I read this morning that said that there are people in the back that are like questioning, is Jade Cargill a bust, essentially? Like we gave this big introduction and we spent a lot of time training her, but she's not doing the moves right. She's not safe. She's not this. She's not that. And so they're questioning, like, was she worth the investment? And that's what I was saying, and I've said it since she signed, that this God Almighty Performance Center that kicks athletes out, like, it doesn't have a 100% success rate. In fact, I don't even think it has a 50% success rate. How many wrestlers have gone through the Performance Center that WWE hasn't even shown on camera? Like the last time they had their big cuts, I think they cut like 8 people that have spent months in the Performance Center and maybe done a few dark matches here and there, but haven't really been on TV. They spend a lot of time and money training these people, and a lot of them don't work. But you look at Mercedes Moné, and you put her in an environment where wrestling matters, and it's not just about the gimmick or the story that's told outside of the ring. It's told about what you can do inside of the ring. It's where the best wrestle, right? That's AEW, and look at the difference. Like she's had a great match with Willow. She's had a great match with Stephanie. And it looks like stars are lining up. Wembley Stadium, she's going to have a match with Britt Baker, who makes her return. We'll talk more about Britt here in a second. But Mercedes Moné looks like she's fighting Britt Baker, of all people, at All in London. And she's going to have a good match with her. And so, say what you want. Like, yeah, she's not the best. Like, AEW's women's division is so stacked, I'd put Mercedes Moné as, like, 3rd or 4th, maybe 5th in line. But that's still miles above a lot of other pro wrestling women's locker room. Like, in WWE, I could probably name 3 women that I would pick over Mercedes Moné. and it would be Becky Lynch, and she's a free agent. I think she's re-signing with WWE, but I'll put her there. It's Becky Lynch. I'd probably pick Charlotte Flair, just because I know when push comes to shove, Charlotte Flair can give me a solid match, and Mercedes Moné at times can be a bit, she's on and off. Like, she's had really good matches so far with AEW, but it would not surprise me if she had a match where she botched a lot. And so that's always been a problem with her. But she's still one of the top women in the entire industry. I'd pick Becky Lynch, Charlotte Flair, and I think just because she's able to emote herself in a way that just connects with me, I'd probably pick Liv Morgan over Mercedes Moné. But nobody else in the women's division I would pick over Mercedes Moné. Right? I wouldn't pick Rhea. I wouldn't pick Dakota. I wouldn't pick Bayley or Io or Asuka or name any other woman. Maybe Roxanne. On NXT, I'd probably go Roxanne, because Roxanne's just fucking phenomenal. She can tell a story outside of the ring and inside of the ring. And guess what? She was built in the ROH style. So that's why I love Roxanne. Right? Roxanne wasn't built from the Performance Center. Right? You notice how, I think, Charlotte Flair, she's Ric Flair's daughter. She has experience. I guess she's a success story of the Performance Center. Becky Lynch, she had indie experience. She wasn't, solely pushed through the Performance Center. And then Liv Morgan, I think she was a Performance Center. Many people don't say it's a success story. I think she's pretty good. But she's, I think she came from the Performance Center. So, look, it's like, I don't know. I'll digress there. But Mercedes Moné is one of the biggest stars in AEW. She had that interview with, was it Hot 97? Where she was basically like, yeah, the reason I went to AEW was because I've dreamed about this. I went to All in London last year, and I saw what I could be. And what I could do, and all of this stuff, and wrestling was at the center, and Tony Khan would, or WWE was putting her on dates for for house shows and stuff. When she had dates aligned to go film for The Mandalorian, WWE would, spitefully try and keep her away from filming, and she was like, well, Tony Khan, if I wanted to act, he would pick me up on his PJ, his private jet, fly me to the show, let me do the show, and then fly me back on the private jet back to film. And so, I don't know, a lot of WWE people are hating on her for that, but kudos to Mercedes Moné. I think she's done a fantastic job. And the short amount of time that she's been in AEW. Britt Baker. That's the next thing I want to talk about. My next takeaway. Britt motherfucking Baker is back. The long-awaited return of Britt Baker. And it's one of these returns where we've been wanting this for so long. When her music played and I heard, the doctor will see you now, I legitimately, so I was laying down in my bed watching the show, I got up and jumped out of my bed. I just was so happy to hear her music again, to see Britt Baker back again. We've missed Britt Baker. She's the moneymaker, the demo god of AEW, and I can't wait to see her perform tonight, as I'm recording this on a Wednesday. Can't wait to see what she's got to say in Chicago, Illinois, at the Wintrust Arena in Chicago, I think is where they're at. And so it's going to be a great show. I can't wait to see Britt back. And the first thing I noticed was, holy shit, Britt Baker is in phenomenal shape. I think she's in better shape than what she was prior to her injury. And I know she's been doing a lot of DDP yoga and stuff like that, and DDP posted a lot of photos with her and stuff. But she is in great shape, dude. She looks fucking amazing. And so I'm excited I'm excited to see this Britt Baker come back and what she's going to do, and this idea that maybe she's fighting Mercedes Moné on her return, and maybe we get a Jamie Hayter comeback, and I don't know what we see, but I'm excited for it. And welcome back. The DMD is back. That's a big takeaway for me. One of the biggest moments. But like there was so much action. So Britt Baker comes out, right? And then she does her stare off with Mercedes, and then walks out, and then Excalibur immediately comes in to the next takeaway I got. And again, I'm not going match by match. I'm just going by key moments. And talks about why I think Forbidden Door is awesome. And last week I think I said it felt like Forbidden Door was a little bit always one-sided, where like AEW wrestlers were 90-95% of the time winning these matches, and it didn't feel like New Japan got anything except American screen time out of the deal. Well, they've got something out of the deal now, because the week of Wrestle Kingdom, the day after, we got Wrestle Dynasty between CMLL, New Japan Pro Wrestling, AEW, Stardom, and Ring of Honor. A 5-promotion, just all-star event in the Tokyo Dome the week of Wrestle Kingdom, the day after Wrestle Kingdom. And it's the Forbidden Door swinging the other way for once. And this is going to be a big event. And they're saying if they want the American audience to be able to watch it, so they're starting the show earlier than normal. It's an 11 p.m. Eastern start time on the 5th or 6th of January. I can't remember. I think it's the 5th of January. And so New Japan had been running 2 nights of Wrestle Kingdom for a couple of years now. And this is essentially the same thing. It's 2 nights of Wrestle Kingdom. But you push the Forbidden Door in the opposite direction. Wrestle Dynasty, build this spectacle. This is going to be probably the biggest worldwide wrestling event in the past several years. Like, it might be the biggest viewed American show since Kenny Omega versus Chris Jericho, maybe at Wrestle Kingdom, almost 7-8 years ago. So it's a big show. It's a big event, and I can't wait for this. I might have to stay up to watch it. I know it starts at 11 p.m. Eastern, but man, it's going to be a good show. It's going to be a big event. I might have to take that next day off. And so it's going to be a big event, and I can't wait for Wrestle Dynasty. And I just think it was funny that it was like, hey, here's Britt Baker. Also, we're having an all-star showdown of 5 really good promotions and their top stars coming to Tokyo Dome, like back-to-back, just big news, and it was so great. And then, man, there's just so much to talk about. Jack Perry finally wins a championship in AEW, and I loved that ladder match. Let's talk about that ladder match for a minute. Everyone was made a star. Kanosuke Takeshita looked good. El Phantasmo looked good. Jack Perry looked good. Dante Martin sold the fuck out of that leg injury because I thought he had re-injured himself. Mark Briscoe looked really good. But Jack Perry was the obvious choice for this. I think that was where it was always meant to be, always going to go. And it's how it went. And so we get Jack Perry, and he's now the TNT champion. And the Elite now hold the AEW World Tag Team Champions, the TNT Championship, and the Continental Crown Championship, or the Continental Championship, whatever they call it. So the Elite have taken over AEW. And I like to see it. And there's a possibility, remember, because they said it's their choice. They're putting their guy as the wild card for tonight on Collision for the Owen Hart tournament. The winner of the Owen Hart tournament goes to Wembley Stadium to fight Swerve Strickland for the AEW World Championship at Wembley Stadium at All In. And so there's a chance that their guy, another addition to the Elite possibly, gets another belt. And so I love this. This just hostile takeover of AEW by the Elite. So it's a good story to be told. And then finally, the last key takeaway was, again, Swerve Strickland winning. But before I get to there, I forgot to mention something when I'm talking about Mercedes Moné. I read something, or I heard something, that Mercedes wanted to make sure that Stephanie Vaquer was able to be seen as a really good wrestler in an American market. Because again, a lot of new faces were shown to, a lot of these wrestlers were seen by the first time by a lot of people watching this pay-per-view. And so it's important to make sure that you get a good first impression. And so that was Mercedes' biggest thing, was I want the first impression of Stephanie Vaquer in AEW or in an American pay-per-view audience to be a good one. And from the very beginning, she was getting cheered out of the building. They were booing the fuck out of Mercedes. What were they saying? Fuck the Celtics. They were in Long Island, home of the Brooklyn Nets, home of the New York Islanders. Fuck the Bruins. Fuck the Bruins. I think that's what they were saying. Something like that. Fuck the Red Sox. They were just picking on her because Mercedes is from Boston. And Mercedes was getting booed. And I think she did a really good job at getting Stephanie over. Even in a loss, Stephanie was over. And see, that's a big thing, is a lot of fans need to realize is you can still get over with the crowd even if you don't win the match. So a lot of these people are like, Mercedes, she has creative control and she's won 2 championships in her first 2 matches. She's buried Willow and she's done the... No, Willow's one of the most over girls in the entire locker room right now. Because of Mercedes and because of Statlander turning on her. Stephanie had well received. So you can get over in a losing effort. You don't have to win to get over. You just have to put on a really good match that people care about. And that they did. But anyway, back to the Ospreay and Swerve. To the same thing, Fightful, Sean Ross Sapp with Fightful was reporting that Will Ospreay wanted to have his match at Forbidden Door with Swerve, wanted to dispel the rumors that Swerve's title run was just transitional until Wembley, but also, too, that you can get over in a losing effort, and then that a loss doesn't ruin your run. And so he's putting, hey, I care about Swerve's title reign, because now Ospreay has ultimately, unless he's the wild card, he's not going to Wembley to fight for the world title, right? Because he's not the champion. So I don't know. I think this is a Will Ospreay putting, as awful as people want to put him because he doesn't like the grind or whatever Triple H said at WrestleMania. He's a team player. He's he cares about AEW. He cares about Swerve. He cares about the perception of the world champion. And I actually now, months ago, I didn't like them putting this title on Will Ospreay, but I kind of like it now. Because if you're world champion, your world championship and your secondary titles are on equal prestige, you're doing something right. And so Will Ospreay can build this belt to be equal to the world title, to where even if you're not in the world title picture, you can go for a belt of equal prestige, or just a little bit lesser prestige. Right? Because the world title should be your ultimate goal, to win the world title. And like, you even have MJF saying things like, you have to pick the right time to go for the world title. It's not the right timing for me to try and win back the AEW championship. And so that's the message. Is these secondary belts. I don't like to use mid-card because it's not really mid-card. Any of these championships can main event the show on any given night. But man, Ospreay, I kind of figured like they would just put on a video match. But I should have never doubted Mr. Forbidden Door, Will Ospreay, to just put on an absolute 5-star, 6-star masterpiece. And you think about Will Ospreay, I was talking about Mercedes Moné putting on 2 really good matches in her first 2 matches. But look at Will Ospreay, he is now 4 pay-per-views now that he's been a part of AEW. Revolution put on a really fucking good match with Konosuke Takeshita. He fights Danielson at Dynasty. He fought Roddy Strong at Double or Nothing, and now he fights Swerve at Forbidden Door, and just banger after banger after banger. And someone put on social media, of those 4 matches, his opponent probably had their best match of their career against Will Ospreay. And so even in a losing effort, Will Ospreay is still over as fuck. He's still the international champion. He's still the guy in AEW, I think, behind Swerve. And man, Swerve did really good as well. That was a fantastic match. I came in thinking that Moxley and Naito, which was a fantastic match too, and I predicted that right. I kind of figured like Moxley's time in Japan is over. He's either going to take time off or he's going to stay in America now. Naito gets the belt back. That was a good match. I came in thinking Shingo and Danielson or Moxley and Naito were going to be match of the night. And I still think Moxley and Naito might have it because that match was really good. But man, Swerve and Ospreay put a close competition up between the 3. It was just so many really good matches. The women's division is great. It's interesting, the storyline that kind of progressed out of Toni Storm, Mina Shirakawa, and Mariah May. They kind of like all kissed each other at the end there. They kind of walked off into the sunset together. Obviously, I think this leads to not really a turn, but their face up at Wembley because of Mariah winning the Owen tournament on the female side. But man, I could talk about Forbidden Door for hours. It was just such a good show. But I'm gonna cut it short here, guys, just because it's of the holidays and audio only. Just wanted to hit some of the key points, and I want to end here by what I'm ecstatic for tonight, Wednesday night, as I'm recording this on AEW Dynamite. The return of Britt Baker, the Ospreay versus Daniel Garcia in the main event for the International Championship. The Chicago crowd is going to be raucous. Love the Chicago crowd. And it's AEW. It's a pay-per-view-esque card on free TV. I can't wait. Tune in tonight if y'all can. And hey, next week we'll be back with our normally scheduled Thursday broadcast. And other than that, guys, check out all the links in the description. Go to junkyardmediagroup.com. Join the Discord. Like, comment, subscribe. Subscribe to the YouTube channel. We want to build this community up, guys, and we really appreciate y'all for tuning in and listening. But until next week, y'all, this has been another episode of the Beyond the Junkyard podcast with your host, JYJ, Junkyard James, or Jade Nice, whatever you want to call me, y'all. I will see y'all next Thursday. Y'all have a good one. Enjoy your 4th of July, and hopefully you don't blow your finger off on the fireworks. But y'all have a good one, and we'll see y'all next week.